Cigar connoisseurs are already raving about this exquisite cigar which pays homage to Christopher Columbus's journey of tobacco during his expedition of the New World. This medium to full-bodied cigar shows off the kind of exquisite construction that is expected by master blender A.J. Fernandez. This gorgeous box-pressed cigar features a delicious dark chocolate Nicaraguan wrapper that houses a blend of Ometepe, Condega, and Esteli filler that is bound with a jalapa binder. Once lit, this perfectly balanced and refined New World gives off a beautiful billow of smoke as it hits you immediately with some spice and citrus flavors. As you begin to lose yourself in the rich aromas of New World, the flavors become more complex and begin to express hints of hazelnut and coffee. New World is a first-time collaboration between A.J. Fernandez and his father Ismael Fernandez, which really makes this cigar stand out in the A.J. Fernandez line. To commemorate this union of father and son, A.J. Fernandez is offering you this masterpiece at around an MSRP of $6, which is unheard of for a cigar of this caliber. A.J. Fernandez invites you to embark on the journey and smoke what he guarantees to be one of the most talked about cigars of the year, the New World from A.J. Fernandez, Cigar Journal's #1 cigar of the year. Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Sidorian, joined by Mr. Will Cooper from the brand new, updated Studio C, as Will has been calling it. It's fantastic, Will.
Yeah, it's even going to get better here, so stay tuned.
Yeah, you look and sound great. We've made some preliminary upgrades, and Chris and I and the rest of the production crew here at Stogie Geeks will be making some further upgrades before January of next year. So we're just talking about that during the break. It's very, very exciting. I'm going to go through my top 10 list.
Hey, Paul, before you do that,
Yeah.
I'm just going to hold up this piece of paper. I have not seen your list, so I took a guess of what it is, and it's on this piece of paper. So when you get to #1, I only put #1 on there. I want to see if I got it right.
Oh, I have a high degree of confidence that you got #1. I don't think there's any mystique about what #1 is.
Okay.
We're going to start with #10, though.
Yeah, and just so you know, I'll be doing mine after the new year because I'm still counting them down.
You're still counting down the site, yeah.
Yep. So go ahead, Paul.
I did my list. You know, I want to preface this with there is going to be a runner-up that if I had 11, I would include it, and I think it's worthy of note. And for me to take all of the hundreds of different cigars that I've smoked throughout the year and say, yeah, this is my top 10 list, but you know, this is number 11. You might as well include it on the top 10 list. And it might be surprising for some and corroborate another list, popular list that has been published, which I want to talk about at some point next year.
Yeah, we will.
I want to talk about that list because I want to smoke a lot of things on that list again and report back.
It's a good list, too, we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. It's cigar aficionados list. And we'll just.
Yeah, they did. I tell you what, they gave a lot of criticism. I think they did a great job with the list this year.
I do too.
Yep.
So my #10 is the Debonair First Degree. Now, dude, I toiled with this between the Maduro in all the different sizes and the First Degree. And I'm going to tell you why I came down to the First Degree. What put it on my list, dude, is the versatility of this smoke. It's a very short smoke. It's a very flavorful smoke, of course, as are all the smokes on my list. And not only can you smoke this anytime, but you can smoke this in the winter outside. For a small smoke, it's kind of like, it's like my dogs at home, for those that don't know, are pugs, right? And they say it's a small dog in a big dog kind of package. Like pugs think they're like gigantic dogs. Dude, that's this cigar, right? Like it's a small cigar in a big cigar package. Like it smokes like you're smoking a Churchill or a Busto or a Toro. Like it has that much characteristic and character to this smoke. And that's the reason it made my list. And I'm not saying like all my smokes from like #3 through #10 are probably in no particular order. Like, you know, I would smoke all those equally. My #1 and #2 are kind of special in my heart, but and they all are. But you know, take the order for what it is. In this first degree, dude, I had to put it on my list above, and it kills me because the Maduro isn't on the list, even though it's such a fantastic smoke. But what gets me about that first degree is how much of an awesome smoke that it is for being a small smoke. You know, I like those small smokes to fit in the car rides and the cold smoking and all that stuff. So.
Agree. It's one of the best. It's one of the best line extensions that came out this year. I thought it's a very good line extension to that core line. And I think the Maduros are starting to ship in the first degree now too. I think I saw Phil say something about that.
Yeah, I can't wait to try this in Maduro. And
Yeah,
I tell
me
you
too.
what, that Debonair Maduro Toro, the Debonair Maduro Bellicoso, fantastic smokes.
Yep.
Definitely on my runners-up list, on my list of awesome smokes that have come out this year. Phil did a great job blending those.
Absolutely.
Number 9 on my list is the Davidoff Art Edition 2014.
Great pick.
Dude, I tell you what, I didn't probably smoke as many new releases as you have this year, Will, but this one really caught my attention. And when I was going back through what new I smoked this year, I was like, this has to be on the list, dude. It is a stronger smoke for Davidoff, so much character, higher on the price tag, but whatever. Just an awesome smoke. And some people may label this as kind of gimmicky because I had the whole art. Dude, this smoke is absolutely unbelievable in my opinion. I would hold this smoke up to a lot of smokes that I would reach for, you know, kind of late in the day, at night kind of smoke. It's just full of flavor. It's got a great strength profile. And to get that Davidoff quality and flavor in a stronger cigar blew me away, dude. It blew me away.
Totally agree. Love that smoke.
Now, it's interesting, a cigar that I talked about earlier actually made my list because it just impressed me so much. Guillermo Leon Family Reserve Preferidos is my number 8 pick for this year.
The Guillermo or the Fernando?
I'm sorry, the Fernando Leon.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Fernando Leon Family Reserve. And I talked about it earlier. Awesome smoke, dude. Awesome smoke.
Good blend, that Fernando Leon. Yeah.
Dude, it calls to me when I walk in the humidor next door, especially because that's, you know, where they carry them. Like, I'm like, that's a really good smoke. Like, I just have to buy more. Number 7 on my list is the J. Grano Anniversary P555 by Ocean State Cigars. This is that little short Perfecto. Now, I know they're a sponsor of the show, and I know that they're made in the same factory as the sponsor of the show. Forget that for a moment. Go under my spell. They're not sponsors of the show right now. This is a solid offering. I smoked pre-releases. I smoked regular production of this blend. In this size, it just does amazing things for me. It produces flavors and complexity that puts it really high up on my list of cigars that are released this year, dude. I am just blown away by this smoke. I bought a box. I had Paul sign the box of this cigar. It's a very special cigar because of those two characteristics, right? Now, granted, I have some kind of like emotional ties to this cigar, but I would say when you smoke it, you should recognize the complexity of the flavors and the amount of flavor you're getting from this cigar that stands out from the rest of the pack of cigars that have been released this year. And I will say it with the utmost of confidence about this cigar. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, let me make a comment on that because I actually had that. I'm going through my list countdown, and I've gone through that. I had it at 19. Mm-hmm. And Paul, I'll be honest, I have smoked more new ones than you have. So I think the reason it's at 19, I don't think it's a diminished thing by any means. I just had a bigger pool to go with. When I posted that, I had, what the comments I got back were? You have it too low.
Yeah.
And these are not people who are tied with the show or the store or sponsors. This is a real deal cigar, folks.
Absolutely.
Paul and Phil did a great job with this blend.
Yeah, that collaboration that produced this cigar is just, it's very special.
And that Perfecto is great. Great size.
I got the last box of the original run of this cigar. Like literally the last box that was on the shelf.
With the old bands. So the new bands are supposedly coming.
Yeah, I got the last one, and I was very thankful to.
Yep.
It's interesting. I was in the store, and I was like, make sure you don't sell out of that before I get back, because I was going on travel I had to do like multiple trips in a row, and I got back and I literally got the last box. So that shows you how well they've been selling in the store, and what a special blend that it is.
It's real deal. Yep, I totally agree.
My number 6 cigar might be a bit controversial. I had the Tatuaje Cabaguan Lancero. I just like the Lancero from that Tatuaje Lancero pack the best. I know some people have some different choices from that pack. But I tell you what, Will, I smoked each of those and really paid attention to the flavors. Having smoked all of those blends in different sizes before, having smoked a ton of Tatuaje, having recognized that when you smoke a Lancero, you have to pay special attention to it. Like, I really put a lot of effort into smoking that from Tatuaje. And that Cabaguan Lancero, when I looked at the hundreds of cigars that were released this year, sticks out in my mind still as being a fantastic cigar. If I could buy boxes of those, I would. And I would smoke those in the morning with coffee all day long.
Great blend. It's just a great blend, the Cabaguan.
It is. I bought a vintage box of those in that like Corona Gorda kind of size as well. But that
I hope
Lancero,
Pete releases that in a box too.
I hope so too. Number 5 is one I smoked more recently, and that's the Aging Room M20 Fortissimo. And what I can really pluck from my mind, if you were to just like say the cigar and say the first thing that comes to your mind, and I would say attention grabber. Dude, when I smoked this cigar, I could do nothing but pay attention to this cigar. I was completely distracted by it, and that's a quality that you look for in a cigar, right? I mean, that's one of the things that contributes to an Oasis rating for a cigar, is how it grabs your attention. And this cigar grabbed my attention so much so that it made number 5 on my list. It has fantastic flavors, wonderful complexity. It's just awesome.
Love that cigar too. Made a good impression on me at the trade show, which is surprising.
Yeah, and I think I like this better than the M21, which was the older release, right?
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, this one just really grabbed my attention.
Yep.
Number 4 on my list, while it's a little pricey and something that you really have to pay attention to when you smoke. It comes from a company that is doing an event here in January, which I can't wait for. I had to smoke multiple ones of these to really kind of get it, which I appreciate in a cigar. Some people may smoke, this cigar and not get it at first, or, have to smoke multiple and go, well, it's too expensive. But this for me was the Joel Sherman 75th Celebration by Nat Sherman.
Oh, it's a special cigar.
Dude, the subtle flavors that you get, I mean, we talk about flavor and complexity, right? But to really pay attention to this cigar and pick out the subtle flavors and enjoy it is just a special experience. And, as I said, we review over 700 cigars in a given year. And to have one stick out to be like, wow, like, I still can't pinpoint exactly the flavors I got, but I want to smoke more and pay attention just to see what that is. Like, that's this cigar, dude. And I smoke it at different times of the day, pair it with different, smoke it first and pair it with seltzer water, cleanse your palate, smoke it on a fresh palate. If you're really willing, I think, to be the stogie geek and pick flavors out of a cigar, pick up this Joel Sherman, man, because it is a masterpiece of subtle blending and flavors, in my opinion, and that's why it ranks on my list.
So I've smoked with quite a bit of those. And I've had one experience that didn't stack up to the others. And the one time I had it was the night I came in for the interview at Juan Martinez. I stopped at Joyle's, and I picked one up, and I smoked it. But, I'm BSing with Stogie Santa and some of the guys there. And, of course, I just didn't get those subtleties out of it.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
So it wasn't a bad cigar. Again, it's one of those. That's the downside of that cigar. But that upside is so big on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number 3 on my list was a latecomer. And I tell you what, I tried not to have any preconceived notions about this cigar. When I bought it, Stogie Sand and others are like, well, it's really good. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Don't tell me anymore. And when I smoked it, it's an attention grabber. It's all about flavor. It's another masterpiece of blending. The burn, draw, construction, and experience that you get when you smoke this cigar is unparalleled to many of the smokes that I had this year. And it earned a relatively high ranking on my list. I mean, it was up there, dude. And for something to be released kind of like late in the year, the Illusion Singular 2014, it has to be.
I haven't smoked it yet.
Oh my God, dude! It's amazing. It's amazing. His Singular Phantom, I think, in 2010, was awesome.
Right.
This one is right up there, if not one of the better ones, dude. Like I'm really gonna go back. I may go back to Mr. Jason Run a Smoke Shop and see if I can finagle as many as I can get, because this cigar is truly special.
Wow.
It has a creamy component coupled with awesome flavors. It's not overly complex, but complex enough to really hold your attention, and just fantastic. Fantastic. Number 3 on my list for this year. And it was, of all the cigars we smoke, it's tough to, when you weed it out and pick and choose, but especially something you smoked recently, right? And dude, I went back to the beginning of the year because I'm like, what was released at the beginning of the year? Because I don't want to do them injustice, right? And this cigar holds up, dude. It holds up.
It was a very weak start to the year, I thought, and the second half of the year was much better.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good cigars that came out this month too. So yeah, I agree. I don't think it was a matter of that. I think it was a weak start to the year.
Yeah. Now, my top 2 choices might be a bit controversial. This next one somewhat disagrees with the Cigar Aficionado list, but I'm standing behind it because I've smoked multiple of these, and in both different kinds of wrappers, I've smoked multiple of this cigar. I smoked a lot of cigars from this line, especially from their kind of limited release special line. And my number 2 cigar of the year was the Padron 50th Natural. I smoked another one today, dude. I think it's a home run. Home run. I think the Maduro will get better over time, but I think this Natural, the amount of complexity and flavor that you get from it in terms of the journey that it takes you on, I think is super, super special. I mean, it starts off very spicy. It like takes your senses and grabs them and takes them in a direction, and then takes them in a completely different direction, and just really is just so awesome. It's so awesome. It's got sweetness. It's got spice. It's everything that embodies kind of balance and smoking experience in a cigar. And that was my number 2. Have you smoked this one?
Yeah, I did. I got to be honest, I didn't have it higher than a 5er.
Really?
Yeah, now, I don't know if it needed more time. It didn't wow me, but I'll say this, the track record with all those family reserves, with the exception of the 45 and the 44, it took me a while to get wowed by them, but I have come around on them.
Maduro, I think, still needs time. I think it's very good.
And maybe what I had still needed time. The Maduro definitely needed time.
Maduro was the one on Cigar Aficionado's list.
Yeah, I don't, I respect their list as much as hopefully they respect everyone else's, but yeah, I just didn't see it with the Maduro. The Natural, I think the consensus right now is the Natural smoking better from people.
Now, my number 1 cigar of the year, I took into account a number of different factors, Will. Smoking experience, the overall flavor experience, complexity, versatility of the cigar in terms of when I would smoke this cigar, the amount of excitement, the amount of uniqueness that it presented to me in terms of against all the other cigars that I smoked in the year. I didn't factor price into my list at all. I left that out of my list. I should kind of preface it with that. And I also want to preface this with, I didn't smoke every new cigar that came out this year. I mean, like I said, you probably smoked more than I did, but I smoked quite a few. I've smoked several cigars from this manufacturer. And again, it's really, for me, the number one cigar of the year is that balance of versatility, complexity, flavor, smoking experience, that I almost in the back of my head kind of rank all of those into one. And this cigar, I mean, it was almost without question. I've smoked at least 2 or 3 of these throughout the year. And without question, this was my number one. And that's what's pretty awesome about, I think what's pretty awesome about my number ones and having a list is, for me, my number one cigar, there's really never been a question in my mind about what takes number one for me in terms of my list. In this cigar, I can say with certainty it hit a grand slam in every area of my criteria. And my number one cigar for last year did too, which was the Tatuaje Corona Gorda jar release. It hit a grand slam in every area of that. And for it to come down to this for this year, this cigar did it for me. And that is, and I'm kind of thinking you guessed it, Will. That's my, if I were a betting man, I bet you guessed it. And that would be the Davidoff Royal Salomon.
Look, Paul, you and I are partners. We're friends, and we get to know each other. There's no question, you know when a cigar hits someone.
Oh, hang on, Will. My
it was
headphones
very easy.
came undone. Hold on. Let me plug you back in. What did you say? Say it again.
So, you and I, we're partners, we're friends. When someone has a special, you and I talk, and when we have that special cigar, I knew it right away.
Yeah.
And then when you gave me one up in Rhode Island, I could see that was right in your wheelhouse on top of that. So
and that's
never
probably
a question.
the other criteria, right? It has to hit a grand slam in my wheelhouse, right? And it did that. And it is funny, you being my friend and smoking, us smoking cigars together all the time, whether virtually or in person, we know each other's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And that was just it for me, dude. What sucks is it's like one of the most expensive cigars to come out this year.
You almost hate doing that sometimes.
Yeah, you hate doing that, but even the top 2 are really pricey cigars. As you get down to number 3, the Illusion Singulier, dude, that's special and not as high price tag, but dude, that Davidoff Royal Salomon just did it for me this year. I don't know what it is about that cigar. Whatever they did in the blend was just super, super special.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Davidoff fan, you need to pick up that cigar. That's all I got. It is. Yeah, I mean, if you like classic Davidoff, it is. I mean, it's one of the best. I mean, it's I think the Paul Gamarian Salomonis is one of the greats. Debonair Salomon is great. I mean, this is it's everything.
It's right up there in
is.
my top 3, dude. I don't want to say like I'm a huge Salomon fan. I guess I am, but when you talk about those 3 you just mentioned, dude, I smoke all of those 3 regularly. And I love Robustos, Coronas, Toros, Petite Coronas, whatever. Size-wise, I don't know. I have favorites, but Salomon's isn't on anyone's top favorite list of size cigars to smoke for the most part, in general. But this one is.
It didn't get the attention.
It didn't.
Of all the other Davidoffs did.
No, and I was skeptical, dude. When I pay $50 for a Davidoff cigar like that, dude, I was skeptical, very skeptical. I'm like, it lives up to that? It lives up to that, dude.
It was probably the most expensive obtainable cigar this year.
Yeah.
But it's obtainable. It's not. This is not something. And if you're a Davidoff fan, you want something special, it is worth tracking down.
I agree. If you're gonna smoke something special, you want to spend the money on it, dude. This is my recommendation, hands down. Hands down.
Absolute good.
Set
pick.
aside some time too. I don't often rank a number one cigar that takes 2.5 or 3 hours to smoke. That's a long time to commit to a cigar. I'll admit that. It's a long time, dude. Um, but this one is worthy of your 2.5 or 3 hours of attention for that cigar. And the other ones are too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I smoke regularly the Debonair Salamones and the Paul Gamarian Salamones.
Yep.
For sure, for sure. In fact, almost every Friday, I think I light up a Debonair Salamone. And they're awesome. But this one at the higher price tag of all those 3 Salamones, in all the cigars we smoked this year, it's truly special, dude. It's truly
I agree.
special.
I have one more Debonair Salamone left too.
I have a box.
Yeah, we may.
I have like 9 out of 10.
I think Joyle still has some floating
No,
around.
I think I bought the last box of those. Too.
Oh, really? Okay.
One of the
Then they're
last
gone.
ones of those, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got an end point to when he's going to produce his Salamones. I want to say the Davidoff Royal Salamones come in cabs of 50 or 100. It's either 50 or 100.
Yeah, they come in an insane. I mean, it's not
an insane amount.
It's not a box purchase, but if you were to normalize it, it's an Oasis level. You had it obviously,
it's
but
an Oasis level.
Yeah.
And that's because, like I said, it just ranks so high in all those categories for me. Anyway, we all need to get rich so we can smoke Davidoff Royal Salamones.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have to say, my runners up. I think Zedman says they come in boxes of 50. I concur with Cigar Aficionado on the EP Carrillo La Historia. If this were a top 11 of the year, I would say, if I could have a 3.5 or 4.5 or whatever, like this would be on my list, dude. Like, I like that blend. I think that blend, I would say that the La Historia is one of the most underrated blend. So if I had to pick my 2014, I'll say it on the show, the 2014 most underrated friggin' blend is the La Historia. That's a fantastic cigar. For whatever reason, people aren't getting it with that blend.
Oh, they're gonna be revisiting it now. I called Stogie Santa, told him, I said, you better get your order in now for the store.
Dude, that blend's awesome, and it's just it's one of those blends that is gonna continue to get better and better and better.
I couldn't be happier for Ernie either. And EPC, sometimes you get the, it wasn't my favorite EPC. I really like the 5th anniversary better, but sometimes they've waited a long time to get a very high ranking, and good for them.
See, I liked the La Historia better than the 5th anniversary. If I had to put it,
I know you did. Yeah, you've been consistent with that from the beginning.
It's awesome. I would say, I hate to call it an honorable mention because it's really like on my list. I wanted to make sure I got some of those other blends on there that didn't get as much attention, I think, as the La Historia, and they're going to do well because they rank so. What are they, number 3 or 4?
2.
They're 2 on the list.
They got 2.
I see where they're going with that, dude. I really do, and I think they're going to get a lot of attention, and it's well deserved, in my opinion.
Well, yep. I mean, that blend's gotten a lot better. I'll say that.
And that's one I wanted to make sure that we mentioned because I could come up with a list of 100 different runners-up or honorable mentions. Dude, that's my only honorable mention.
But yeah, like I said, you've been pretty consistent when that cigar came out, and a lot of us were questioning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that I will agree with that is getting better, that didn't make my list or really kind of an honorable mention, is that the one from Illusion. What was that one?
Fume de Amor.
Fume de Amor. And like I said on the last show, I gave that cigar props because it did get a lot better. And I can see where they're going with that. And I didn't like that when it first came out either. And that one I can see as well.
I love that cigar. Yep, I think it's a great cigar.
Now, is the La Historia a limited edition or?
No, it's regular production.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of those, the Illusione and the La Historia, are regular production cigars.
La Historia being on the higher end of the price tag. La Fume de Amor being on the much lower end.
No, they're about the same price, I think, aren't they?
No, I thought the La Fume de Amor was a reasonably priced cigar?
I think it's around $9 to $10.
Was it that high? Okay.
It might be. I'd have to double check it. I just don't have the notes in front of me on it. It wasn't a bank breaker.
No, certainly not. So that is my list.
Yeah, no, it's a good list.
Were there any surprises in there, Will?
The big surprise for me was the Padron 50th on the list. The other one that surprised me was the Fernando Leon.
Yeah, those two.
So, it was definitely going through there. I remember you talked about the Singularity, the Joel Sherman. We talked about, you love the M20. I thought the M20 might be your number 2.
Interesting. Yeah, Padron,
I kind of figured Jay Grotto.
That 50th, man, I tell you what. All those Padron Family Reserves, we talked about when we reviewed the Cigar Aficionado list from years past about the Family Reserve. Just fantastic things they're doing in that Family Reserve. When I'm looking to spend a little money and get some special smokes, I go buy Family Reserve. And I tell you what, it doesn't last in my humidor ever.
I smoked the 85th. I think I talked about it on the show last week, the Family Reserve 85th. And that cigar's, the Maduro is really coming around.
And usually for me, cigars will last in my humidor, and I'll buy some to smoke and some to age. Family Reserve, the reason it's so special, and one of the reasons it number 2 on my list, dude, is because they don't last in my humidor, and that's just kind of like a different component to my list. I smoke them, dude. I smoke them, and it's interesting to have. When you pay a higher price tag for that cigar, right? You don't want to have to sit on it for 3 years to smoke it. You want to smoke it right now, and it delivers. Like Davidoff and Padron, I think, are the two. They carry some of those higher price tags, but you don't have to sit on them for years before they're really good.
Yeah, you know what? It was interesting. So, we did the Padron interview last week.
Yeah.
We played that. And, Seth asked the question about the streak with Cigar Aficionado, how they've always been in the top 4. George, I'm sorry. I think we jinxed it for you because that was they got number 7 with that 50th Maduro, and that was the lowest rating ever in the top 10. So, George, I apologize for the jinx there on that. When I was down in Florida this past weekend, the rumor was Padron was going to get it with the 7,000, believe it or not. There was a lot of rumors, people were talking about that because they got a high rating during the year with that. So,
interesting.
The 50 caught everyone off guard, I think.
Yeah. Cool. We have a contest update?
Yeah, I want to give a couple quick contest updates. We have a couple of slow responses to contests. So, the Hoya de Nicaragua contest, episode 119, is open. Listen to it. I'll put something out on social media as well. And our box of cigars from the 3rd anniversary show has had a little bit of a low turn. I want some more entries on that. And that's for the box of San Cristobal. So if you listen to the 3rd anniversary show at the end, this is a free box of cigars I'm giving away. I want some more entries in there. So go listen to that. And then after the new year, we'll close out those contests.
Awesome. Well, this is our last show of the year. So.
It is. I think it's been a great, Paul. I mean, it's just a privilege to work with you. I enjoy doing this, and we're going to take a couple weeks off, and we're coming in. We have a lot of guests lined up already in January, so it's a full. I think we have 4 weeks of shows and 5 guests, so we are really got some exciting shows. We were supposed to have Jason Wood on tonight, and from Miami Cigar, he rescheduled. It was good he did, because you would have been having basically not to go home and do your show tomorrow. So
yeah, I would have just slept here.
So some things work out well. So he has rescheduled for January. So we have some good shows coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Thanks, everyone, for listening. That's been the Stogie Geeks.
Thanks for listening all year, too, guys. Yep.
We'll see you in 2015.
Yep.
Have a good holidays, everyone. That's a wrap.